This is the Moondrop Pudding, true wireless noise-canceling earphone. There are a couple of different color options. There's a yellow one, a white one, and then this gray one, which they sent to me because, of course they did. They know me. In my opinion, the Pudding is S tier for the name alone. It's the Pudding. You gotta love that. But the question is it any good? And today we're going to try and find out if this is actually genuinely a budget S tier true wireless in-ear earphone, or if it's putting me to sleep. I'll leave. Alright, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the Pudding here, just not to do a review or anything like that, but because I think there's something kind of interesting about the idea of a budget true wireless noise cancelling device that has parametric EQ available to it. I'm going to say right now, by default, the Pudding sounds particularly rough, and that's because it has some rather aggressive and punishing length mode resonances in the treble that, unless you get lucky and have the exact ear canal to fit with the tuning of this device, it's going to sound pretty scratchy, harsh, sibilant, all those sorts of words. The rest of the tuning is totally fine. Like the bass in the mids is totally acceptable, especially at this price. I think it's, gone in a good direction there, but I think a lot of folks are probably going to be misled by the measurements that they're going to see for this device because it looks like it measures really good. And the reality is that there is a condition in which this does measure rather well, and it would sound good if it actually performed like that in people's ears, or pretty good at least. But the problem is these measurements are only going to be predictive for very specific people. So for anybody who is unfamiliar with what I'm talking about here, the treble for in-ear devices, IEMs, earbuds, that sort of thing, is heavily comprised of a pattern of resonances determined by the distance between the earphone and the eardrum. And depending on how well the device has accounted for this effect, this can be anywhere from totally innocuous to extremely punishing and grating and difficult to listen to. And we call these the length mode resonances. Technically, the one that we're most worried about here with this one is the second length mode resonance, but we don't need to get into that specifically. It's more that we have to understand that in-ear headphone performance is a variable problem depending on how your ear canal is. And unfortunately, even if you're getting a good fit with the device, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get these length mode resonance problems. And so what I see commonly, and this is an example of this, is where those length modes are not well represented in the data, right? You can see these products performing or measuring quite well when you're looking at the typical line against a target type of measurements. It'll look like it's doing a good job. And it is doing a good job, but how they actually perform for a wider range of people is a bigger picture, and it's worth understanding that bigger picture. So here are the measurements of the Moondrop Pudding on the B&K 5 and 2/8, shown with additional length mode propagation, and you can see these resonances in the treble showing up, and that's a lot closer to how I hear it. I hear it closer to, the upper end of this, where that length mode is rather strong. And what this sounds like is a kind of grating and sibilant and etchy, harsh kind of presentation overall to the treble, which kind of ruins the rest of the sound for me. I think I would like the rest of the way that this sounds if it weren't for this big problem, where essentially everything goes to hell above 6 kilohertz or above 5.5 kilohertz. For me, it's specifically right at around 6.8 kilohertz with this device, which is, I think, actually a little bit higher up than it is on typical in-ear headphones. But this is, again, not just down to how these fit, because this actually fits me great. It's down to your actual ear canal size and shape, and how large the air volume is in there. Essentially, the smaller the air volume, the less of a problem this is going to be. So the smaller the ear canal, the less of a problem this is going to be. The larger the ear canal, or the longer the ear canal, the more noticeable this problem is going to be. And these resonances can show up anywhere from, 5 kilohertz all the way up to like 9 kilohertz. And so in this instance, if you have a really small ear canal, this might work a little bit better for you. But again, you can see on the graph that it's essentially a massive resonance and then a pretty strong dip there at around like 8 kilohertz, and then some more, brighter treble up above that as well. This is one of those situations where if you have the measurements of the device on paper, the initial sort of picture of how this might perform in one specific condition, it can look great. It can even be great, again, for people who have that specific condition. But we got to be careful about this because these devices actually have a lot more variability, and showing the rest of it is important because people are not all just homogenous for their ear canals. I think mine is a little bit larger than average, but also not the largest. Are we still talking about ear canals? We're talking about ear canals here, guys. Stop. Anyway, I wanted to highlight this, not to say that that's why this product is bad, just that that's something we need to be aware of when we're looking at products like this, and the Moondrop Pudding is a great example of this, but to actually indicate that this product is great, specifically because they gave you parametric EQ with this device in the app that you use, giving you the tools that you need to fix this problem. The thing is, you need to be aware of this. You need to know where these resonances are for you to be able to correct them when you buy this product. So what you're going to want to do if you are considering picking up the Moondrop Pudding, and I recommend it as a $50 true wireless device, this is kind of great, you're going to want to use a tone generator to figure out where these resonances are for you. And there's a number of different ones that are available. You just Google tone generator on your phone, and the first one should be the right thing. You're going to do a manual sweep to figure out, okay, where is it the loudest in the treble for you? Where specifically is there a really strong emphasis? And it should be anywhere between 5 and 9 kilohertz. And if it's not, you are lucky. You are genetically superior to the rest of us, and you can feel confident about yourself that you're just a better human being than all the rest of us. But if you do hear a really strong resonance there, say around 7 kilohertz or something like that, this is what you're then going to go into the app and fix with EQ. Now, when you're using the app, there is a little bit of a limitation here. You don't actually have that much headroom, and this is one area where I wish I had more available to me. Specifically at around 8 kilohertz, there's a pretty big notch or a dip on my head. So I ended up needing to kind of reduce the rest of everything else to kind of reduce things around that range. Because you only have, I think, 3 dB plus 3 dB for boost, but you can cut lots of stuff. Once you're able to identify the length mode problems and see if there's any other specific features that stand out to you with tone generation, fixing that in the app makes this sound fantastic, spectacular. So I'm absolutely going to recommend the Moondrop Pudding. I think this is fantastic as an entry point for true wireless ANC devices. I mean, this isn't a unique problem to do with the Moondrop Pudding. Length mode resonances are just a thing that most IEMs are going to exhibit in a wide variety and wide range of different ear canals. So the fact that parametric EQ is available in the Pudding, allowing you to fix problems that are typical of in-ear devices anyways, is a really good thing. My only real criticism with this platform is that the way that they represent targets and the sound profiles is kind of misleading. So when you're using the parametric EQ, it gives you a picture of the measurement relative to a target, which is cool, to be fair. This is a cool idea, but the reality is the picture of the response, the measurement that you see there, isn't actually what the measurement is doing in your ear. And when you're making adjustments, it can feel like you should be making adjustments based on that graph that you see, when in reality, you should be making adjustments based on the tone generation that you just did, because that'll reveal pretty strong differences between what you're hearing and what the graph is depicting. And the other problem is that you have all these different targets that you can plug into the system and then auto EQ the device too. I think for a lot of people who use this, if they're not watching this video, they will think that when they auto EQ the device to match the target, that that's what that target sounds like. And that's not true. Because again, that's what the device sounds like adjusted to the target through auto EQ as it's being filtered by the effects of your ear canal and relative to your anatomy. You could have two products that are tuned to the same target that have very different responses in your actual ears. Or you could have one product that's tuned to that target and then use the target auto EQ function with the Moondrop Pudding, and they could sound very different from one another. And then because people have a hard time actually interpreting the sound as frequency response in terms of frequency response, any gap that may exist between, a device like this that's been auto EQ'd to the target and something that's been intentionally tuned to the target will be attributed, unfortunately, to things like technicalities, which are in fact not real. Now, just a note about the ANC performance, this is nothing special. It's good enough to dull the traffic sounds when you're walking around on a busy street, but if you're buying something for noise canceling specifically, I would not suggest this. And also the transparency mode on this, while it is effective enough for me to take on a hike and, be able to listen for bears and not get eaten, so far so good. Whenever I'm speaking while transparency mode is engaged, it still sounds like my voice is resonating off the back of my skull. So these aspects of the device are not the reason to buy this. Parametric EQ is the reason to get this product. Anyways, that's all I have to say about the Moondrop pudding. Is it S tier or is it putting me to sleep? No, this is S tier. Again, as I established early on in this video, it's S tier for the name alone, S tier for giving you parametric EQ, even though by default it does not sound very good in my ear. There's a chance it could sound good in yours, but my point is that it is giving you the tools to fix the problems inherent to these types of devices. Obviously, it can be minimized in other ways as well, but like the fact that they give you this is a very good thing, and we should be celebrating that, which I'm doing right now. So I recommend it. And that is all I have to say about the Moondrop pudding. As always, if you want to support us, you can do so by joining the memberships here on YouTube, where you can hang out with me during live streams where I do the product testing. You can argue with me about all kinds of stuff, and that's all kinds of fun. That goes directly to our content budget, allowing us to purchase other items to get in for review, and it also buys me a coffee in the process. Big thanks to those of you guys who've done this already, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys in live streams every week. And that's going to do it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.